This video is sponsored by PoTownStore.com, the best place for you to get TCGO code cards. They already have Darkness Ablaze up on stock, so definitely check out the website and use the coupon code ZapdosTCG for 5% of your next order. They have a huge variety of code cards, so you'll definitely find something you like. Also, this video is sponsored by cardmarket.com. This is a platform I personally use every day. If you're from Europe, you're obligated to check out this website. You can purchase cards on here as well as sell your own cards to people all across Europe, and they have huge bargain sales right here as well as bestsellers, and you can even purchase physical cards, for instance booster boxes of the new set. So definitely check it out. Both of my sponsors, PoTownStore.com as well as cardmarket.com. What's up YouTube, it's ZapdosTCG here and welcome back to another TCG video on my channel. This is going to be a video all about a new archetype that actually got better. This is going to be Sableye Obstagoon. We already got familiar with that, but now we have Turbo Patch. And why does Turbo Patch help out Sableye so much? That's what you're gonna learn in this video. Sableye V is a huge 2-prize Pokemon that can even one-shot the biggest of VMAXs in town. We're going to be using Sableye V, pairing it up with the Obstagoon family as well as the Roxie combo with Weezing and Koffing. And we're going to try and spread as many damage counters across the opponent's field and then finish the job with the crazy claw attack of Sableye. So in this video we're going to talk about the deck profile here. So Sableye V, it only has 170 HP. It might not seem like a lot, but the good news about this kind of a card is that it can one-shot anything in the game. The thing we want to do is put 5 damage counters across the opponent's field, and we want to target those 5 damage counters on one Pokemon and specifically a VMAX to one-shot that. Because let's say we're up against Eternatus VMAX and we are able to put 5 damage counters on Eternatus VMAX. Then he only has 290 HP remaining, and Crazy Claws actually deals 310 damage. It's insane how the damage stacks with Crazy Claw. For every damage counter we slap an additional 60 damage. That's gonna help us out so much. Why is this deck better right now? In the past it was like mainly Obstagoon as the main attacker and then Sableye as a backup attacker. This has changed around completely because Sableye is now our main attacker, and that's all because of Turbo Patch. This is the item card that lets us flip a coin of heads, put one basic energy from the discard pile and attach it to one of your basic Pokemon, except for GXs. So what we're gonna do here with this archetype, we're gonna use Galarian Zigzagoon, Headbutt Tantrum and all that good stuff. We're gonna slap all of Zigzagoons down. We're gonna use Roxie, and hopefully we'll be able to find Weezing and Koffing in our hand. And then we are gonna discard those, and we put 1 damage counter on all of the opponent's Pokemon. For every Koffing or Weezing we discard with Roxie, which is gonna help out a lot. Not only do we draw 3 cards with the Roxie for every Pokemon we discard, we also put damage counters across the field. So in theory, let's say you use Roxie and get 2 damage counters on everything. Well, if you just use, of course, 1 Obstagoon, that's already 5 damage counters. Easy as pie. This is going to be a thinner Obstagoon line because we want more physical copies of Galarian Zigzagoon. So it's a 4-2 line of Obstagoon and also 2 rare candies in here. So because we do get the damage counter swapping around thanks to, of course, the Roxie combo. Also, we do have 1 copy of Lieutenant Surge thrown in this kind of an archetype, because if they explode on our Sableye, which it will happen from time to time because the opponent will, of course, hit 170 rather easily, then we can rely on Lieutenant Surge strategy. I would also love to put in a Palpad in here, but I couldn't find the room for it. So what we're gonna do here is use Lieutenant Surge, and then we can even use 2 Roxies at once. So Roxie, if we can get the full combination with Weezing Koffing twice, that's 4 damage counters, as well as Galarian Zigzagoon, putting it up to 5 damage counters. And then we only need 1 attachment of the turn, 1 Turbo Patch to land successfully, and bam, we one-shot anything in the game. Which is the fun part about this list. So you might think, why is there a single Jirachi in this list? Well, we don't opt to go for Jirachi. Instead, we rely on Pokégear. Pokégear will hopefully find our Roxie. I think Jirachi is not necessary, otherwise we need to make a room for switches, physical copies of Switch, and I couldn't even find a room for everything that I wanted to put in the list entirely. Things like Palpad, a second Ordinary Rod, I had to cut all of those because I want to make the list as good as possible. So, okay. Talking a little bit more about the Pokemon, we don't run Crobat V, and the reason for that is that with Roxie, you draw so many cards that out of nowhere Crobat V becomes useless because you cannot insta-play everything. That's why we still opt to go for the Dedenne. The Dedenne GX is also one of those Pokemon that can get our Darkness Energies in the discard pile because Darkness Energies need to be in the discard pile for us to abuse Turbo Patch. Okay, another Pokemon in here is Oricorio GX. We got familiar with this card thanks to Baby Blounce. It's very nice. If one of our Pokemon got knocked out, which will happen almost all the time because Sableye V has a low amount of HP, the opponent doesn't like a Sableye sticking around for too long, so they will knock it out and then we can rely on Oricorio. Oricorio in combination with Roxie is going to get us so many cards. That's a total of 9 cards without the top deck. So that's 10 cards you get extra into your hand. So you might think cards like Marnie will slow us down, where that's where you're wrong. We use Dance of the Tributes, get a hand. Then we use Roxie. We'll probably find it thanks to Pokégear. Get rid of our stuff, and out of nowhere we have a huge hand. So even things like Reset Stamp, we are a little bit Reset Stamp proof as long as Oricorio is on the bench. And the good news about that fact is that either they knock out the Sableye with 2 energies or they knock out the Oricorio. Either way, there will still be 1 threat available in, of course, the our entire field, which is awesome. So you might wonder why there are only 3 Koffings and 4 Weezing. With Weezing you cannot start. I had to cut 1 more card to put everything I wanted into this list, so there's 7 copies in total that we can of course discard with Roxie as a beneficial thing where we can put damage counters across the field. So 7 should be enough because most of the time you also will use Roxie on something like a Galarian Zigzagoon. We can get that back with Ordinary Rod and stuff. So imagine you use Roxie and get rid of like everything. It is possible to actually discard 8 of those Koffing Weezing combos entirely because of Ordinary Rod. But I'm a bigger fan of using Ordinary Rod to get back your attacker Sableye V, since we're only running 3 copies of that. So a 4-2 line of Obstagoon, 3 copies of Sableye V, our main attacker. If you want, you can also put in the new Hoopa, which flies into the active position, but that works better in a Jirachi build with more physical copies of Switch. 1 Dedenne, because sometimes we will break, but we do have communication and quick ball to find our Dedenne, and Dedenne is going to be nice to put those Darkness Energies in the discard pile while also providing us with a new hand, and that's going to be fantastic. Then 1 copy of Oricorio and a 3-4 line of Weezing. So now to the item cards, we run 2 Evolution Insense, which searches out evolution Pokemon. That could be our Obstagoon or our Weezing. Why are we still running Obstagoon and don't go for like a 4-4 line of Weezing and just scratch Obstagoon entirely? Well, Obstagoon, there's a 4-2 line in here with 2 rare candy. That can still be our main win condition against stuff like, yeah, you guessed it, ADP-zation. If ADP-zation is not running Mawile, we automatically win that matchup. Same for Baby Blacephalon. If they only run on basics, we just promote Galarian Obstagoon, we use Obstruct, and we win. That's why I still am a big fan of running 2 copies of that in here, but also pairs really well. Let's say you use a double Roxie combo, 2 damage counters on everything. You use Rare Candy, go into Obstagoon, out of nowhere, 5 damage counters. That's it. VMAXs, get out of here. None of them will survive the raw power of Sableye V. And 4 copies of Turbo Patch, of course, it's a 50% chance of you landing a successful Turbo Patch. If it isn't the case, don't worry about it too much. You can also like use something like the high Darkness Energy and retreat to the bench and sacrifice either a Zigzagoon or just bench a Koffing and just let that explode or let the opponent knock that out instead. So, yeah, if it works, Turbo Patch, you're going to be so successful. Attach Turbo Patch, bam, you one-shot anything in the game if you get Roxie combo off, as well as some Galarian Zigzagoons. Don't forget, we also run Scoop Up Net, so you can use Galarian Zigzagoon, Scoop Up Net, another Galarian Zigzagoon, 1 Roxie combo, boom. Yeah, you also get 5 damage counters. Yeah, that's why I love this list so much. There's 4 copies of Pokégear in here. People said, like, why don't run Jirachi with switches? Well, if you get Reset Stand and all that, you have to find your Scoop Up Nets to get Jirachi out of the active position, and I'm a bigger fan of reusing the Galarian Zigzagoon instead. We do have ways to get out of the active position, and that's in the form of Hide Darkness Energy. I know they could trap our Dedenne GX, but Dedenne GX will not always be in play. Same for Oricorio GX, but you can manually attach to your Oricorio. If, let's say your Sableye V has a high Darkness Energy, you retreat to the bench. They opt to go for your Oricorio to leave it stuck. You can still physically retreat it thanks to attaching and retreating it, and then relying on Turbo Patch to do the rest of your acceleration. 1 copy of Ordinary Rod. I would love to run even 2 copies in here because then you can reuse your Weezing and Koffing more easily, but you can also get back your Obstagoon puzzle pieces more easily because sometimes you will Dedenne your Obstagoon away and you say like, oh, I would rather run more copies. Well, Ordinary Rod is a very nice way to also get back your energies, although getting back the energies is better thanks to Turbo Patch, so they're better off in the discard pile to start off with, but sometimes you will run out of energies because we're only running 6 copies of the Darkness energy and then 4 copies of Hide Darkness, or actually 2 copies of Hide Darkness energy. So that's 8 energies in total. Then 2 copies of Communication. You can even flip-flop. You can maybe cut the Evolution Insense and go to 4 communications, but I find Evolution Insense to be like a free search for your Weezing. Let's say you have Roxie in hand, Evolution Insense gets you that 1 card that you at least draw 3 cards, right? Next up is 4 Quick Ball, very obla, yeah, and almost every deck you'll see 4 Quick Ball, actually in every deck. This is going to be nice. With Quick Ball, you can also get rid of your Darkness energy, and the Darkness energy can get back re-accelerated thanks to Turbo Patch. So I love the synergy between Quick Ball and the energy, but we also have Viridian Forest, but more on that in a second. We also run 2 copies of Rare Candy, as mentioned. Going into Obstagoon wins you the Blacephalon matchup. Because they don't have Bursting Burn anymore, and they will say like, oh, I only have basic Pokemon, well, GG, and that's gonna be fantastic. If ADPization lists do not run Mawile, you also auto-win that matchup, so that's 2 matchups you check in your checkbox. Also, for instance, stuff like, if you are a little bit quicker, let's say Vikavolt decks don't get their stuff up, maybe you can surprise them, because if you use Obstruct, they can also not attack you, but on the other hand, they will use Energy Denial card, so those matchups will be a little bit tricky. Things like the Decidueye. I know the Decidueye is a little bit nasty matchup because they have, of course, the invincibility for your V Pokemon, but you can start attacking with Obstagoon, and you can also have the entire spread of Roxie combo wombo going around to even get weak Pokemon like Rowlet and Jirachis to knock those out instantly. So still have to see how that matchup goes, but because of the Roxie combos going around, it could be actually going better than we think. Unless the Decidueye decides to run a lot of big charms, which they might. Next up, 4 copies of Scoop Up Net. Scoop Up Net is nice. Our main starter Pokemon that we want is Zigzagoon or Koffing. If we start with either of those, that's fine, because we can just scoop them up and go, drag them into our hand. That means we can promote our Sableye when we're ready. Also, the Scoop Up Nets is a way to get those Pokemon at the active position. So, if we start with Sableye V, we attach and we just hope 1 Turbo Patch lands. And what better way to get energies in the discard pile and getting energies simultaneously than running Viridian Forest. With Viridian Forest, you can get rid of a Darkness energy while getting another Darkness energy. So you can attach and use Turbo Patch instantly. I do love the fact that Viridian Forest is nice. Not a lot of decks are running Kydex well. We do run 2 copies, so you should have energy in your discard pile by the time the late game starts, right? Then 2 copies of Boss's Orders. As mentioned, I wanted to shove in a Palpat in here so you can reuse stuff like Lieutenant Surge and your Boss's Orders, but 2 copies seem to be more than efficient because most decks that want to take care of your Sableye will start attacking with huge VMAXs entirely, so that's fine. So let's say they attack with Scorch VMAX or Eternatus VMAX, we don't care at all. We just try to get the full combo. Oricorio, Roxie, double Weezing, Koffing and all that, spread damage around, maybe evolve into Obstagoon if we find a rare candy, and bam, out of nowhere we knock out Eternatus VMAX in 1 shot. While also getting other Pokemon set up thanks to the Roxie stuff. So I do love playing Roxie. We have Lieutenant Surge, so what can this mean? With Lieutenant Surge, we can, if we're behind in prize cards, we can use 2 supporters. That can mean Boss's Orders and Roxie at the same time. I've used that in testing. Or 2 Roxies at once. That is even more ridiculous. You use Roxie, get rid of Koffing and Weezing, 2 damage counters on everything while drawing 6 cards. Wow, what do you know? More Koffing and Weezing show up as well as a Pokégear. Pokégear, Roxie, another Roxie. Boom, out of nowhere, 4 damage counters on everything. So the Lieutenant Surge, when it's timed perfectly, you're gonna love it so much. I know it says like banned, but that's only an expanded, but you can still use it in standard Lieutenant Surge combo wombos with Roxie or Roxie and Boss's Orders, depending on what you want to do. Then there's 2 copies of Research in here. Without Jirachi, I still wanted to have some extra draw supporter in here. And Research has a great synergy with, of course, getting Darkness energies in the discard pile. As we're running 6 copies of that, it's always going to be easy to get them in the discard pile. The only thing we need is attach, Turbo Patch, and then some spread damage. So that's going to be nice. And then 2 High Darkness energies. I already talked about 4 copies of Roxie before, so I'm not gonna go in detail. Roxie is just nice. You can draw 3 cards for every non-V/GX Pokemon you discard. And that's gonna be nice, getting, of course, damage counters spread across the opponent's field. And the good news is that we also can rely on high darkness energies to get our Sableye out of the active position if we don't get the combo. So at least we can start attacking the turn after that. If the opponent whiffs on Balsasaurus or yeah, they are not ready, we just promote something like Galarian Zigzagoon or a Koffing. It doesn't matter if they get one-shotted, we're gonna be behind. We can rely on Lieutenant Surge, and then Sableye is ready to strike and uptrade. So that's the list entirely. So 2 high darkness energies, 6 darkness energies. So this is our starting point for the Sablegoon slash Roxie deck. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this specific deck. Will you test it out? Will you improve it? Which cards would you cut? Which card would you include? Are you a bigger fan of using Palpad to get back stuff like Lieutenant Surge and even more Roxies? Let me know. Do you play Lily's Pokédoll? I want to hear your opinions down below. Anyhow, have a fantastic rest of your day. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to demolish the like button, subscribe for more content, and I will be seeing you guys in the next video very, very shortly. Peace out.